Hi everyone. So welcome back to the Mindfully Curious. I'm catching you live from Kashmir right now. Um, and today we are going to be talking about something very interesting, something that's linked to again the last week's video. So last week we spoke about the 4 voices in our head, something that actually makes life difficult for us because we don't know what to listen to and which one to choose from, and then they also evoke a lot of emotions which are not always helpful when you want to make a decision or be productive about anything. And often when we are caught in that loop, we are in this whole loop of procrastination, and that leads to wastage of time. Now today I want to delve a little deeper and talk about something that is more linked to negative thought patterns. So you will notice that there is a link between the voice of caution, voice of fear and the voice of authority in terms of the kind of negative thought patterns that they often generate. So it's sometimes difficult to tell apart whether or not you're acting from a space of fear or caution, because there is a lot of negative thoughts that are generated from a particular trigger. I'll give you a simple example. Suppose you have had a bad experience of a breakup. Many of us do, right? And somebody cheated on you. Now, when you've had that experience, a part of that experience with respect to certain probably red flags that you missed get imprinted in your head later. It gets imprinted in your mind later after the breakup had happened. And when you're going through that heartbreak, you often keep telling yourself that how could I not have seen this or this trigger or that trigger, right? And that in itself becomes a framework through which you start looking at future experiences. Now, when that happens, the next time you come across somebody who you would like to date, the voice of caution and voice of fear start highlighting those very important, so-called important signs which may not even be actually existent, but they make you see things as an interpretation of signs linked to the previous experience of being cheated. And that can color your vision of the truth. It can cause you to not see things as they actually are and actually see things as somebody who's trying to caution you, somebody who's trying to not let your heart be broken again because of an expectation of a similar experience, throwing that kind of a narrative at you. So you start operating from that space of narrative. And there are many such negative thought patterns which lead to frameworks that we operate from. They lead to lens of viewing things which are not helpful for us to break out of patterns. So how do we deal with such things? How do we become aware of when it is a genuine red flag and when suppose it is a negative thought pattern repeating itself? Now for that you have to do a lot of self-work. So when I say self-work, what could you start doing? Now suppose you are reacting from a space of fear and you start along the lines of suspicion, or you start along the lines of complaining about something because you're looking at something from a particular angle, from a particular framework which is a borrowed framework from a past experience, right? So you could, after you react, you sometimes feel at odds with yourself, that you're confused that did you do the right thing? Technically defending yourself and reacting a certain way is the right thing to do if you are being cheated upon, but then is the situation actually as you're imagining it? So that question comes right after, and then you often start feeling bad about things. So when you are caught in negative thought patterns, it is helpful to be aware of triggers. So if you can sit for a while with yourself after such an episode had happened, or anything where you have reacted and you were not aware that you would react that way, it was unexpected even for yourself. So then you take some time off for yourself and ask yourself a few questions. Like for example, that when you were reacting, How did you feel after you reacted? Did you feel relieved? Did you feel like you've defended yourself? Did you feel like you have won a victory, or did you feel like you needed to protect yourself from something, or you needed to tell someone off because it's from a space of righteous justice? Ask yourself, what is it exactly that you achieved from that reaction? Because any kind of outburst or reaction linked to negative thought patterns will be for a reason. There will be a motive behind it, a motive which is linked to your experience. That motive itself is going to help you trace back to which experience is it that is making you see life a certain way. Because all these imprints will also color your experiences in the future, whether or not they are as you see them. So, the first thing that you can do is note down, keep a mindful journal, a mindfulness practice journal you can call it, and you can start noting down triggers where you are in a conversation with yourself about why did I react this way, what did I get out of it. If I shouted at someone, after shouting, what was I expecting to feel? If I felt that I have conveyed a message, what message was that? If that message is something that is self-righteous, that is from a space of wanting to convey an intention or convey what your position is about something, then ask yourself, could you have perhaps communicated that in a more reasonable and more intentional way so that it didn't come across as an outburst? Could you have monitored your emotions so that you could mindfully convey your message, tell another person where you're coming from, how you're receiving a message, but at the same time, you could be in control of unnecessary reactions that can cause further conflict. Now, when you're also thinking of negative thought patterns, now this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about outbursts. I'm talking about those moments when you can't keep those negative emotions with yourself and your negative thought patterns lead you to react. But then there is also the other phase of negative thought patterns actually suffocating you inside your head, pulling you inwards into a sort of self-bashing exercise where you're constantly blaming yourself, you're constantly fearful of something, you're constantly not in tune with who you want to be, and it's not like you don't want to, but something's stopping you. The fear, the caution, that the voice of an authority figure or your experiences are coloring your notion of what should be. And when you are somebody who is not able to react, you could try and ground yourself by using certain techniques. For example, writing can be a good way. You can just do automated journaling. Automated journaling brings out everything you have, and once you have it on paper, tear it apart, throw it away. Don't look back at it. That really helps. It's very therapeutic. If you are a painter or an artist, you can use your colors to express how you're feeling, and after some time even start writing, or you can even start maybe listening to music, or maybe even using movement or dance to express all that pent up energy, all those energies and emotions which are being evoked by something that's caught in your mind. Now that will shift you out of that awareness of being constantly stuck with your thoughts. These are two things which extroverts and introverts, or people who are in different phases of dealing with their emotions, can do at different points of time. If this is helpful, I could make separate videos on particular thought patterns and on particular experiences, but I'd like your inputs on the same if you'd like clarity on any particular issue to talk about. Having said that, I hope this helps. Please keep a mindfulness journal. Please start jotting things down. You will thank yourself, because knowing yourself best is the best gift you can give yourself when it comes to self-love. We talk about self-love all the time, but if you don't know who you are actually supposed to be in love with, then how do you even make a headway in it, right? Self-love doesn't emerge out of nowhere. It emerges out of a journey of mindfulness where you become mindful of who you are, what's going on in your head, what's going on inside you, and you decide how to discern, and you consciously make that effort to discern what's helpful and what's not, what to focus on, what's not, what to engage with and what not to. So you can only do yourself this favor. So don't do this for me, do this for yourself, see how it works and keep engaging with me in the comment section below. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.